The rain was heavy that evening, tapping against the thin windows of the small house like impatient fingers demanding answers. Inside, Hana stood silently in the corner of the living room, her hands folded tightly in front of her. Her stepmother's voice cut through the air like a blade. "You will marry him tomorrow," the woman said coldly, not even looking at Hana. No arguments, no excuses. Hana's eyes flickered toward the photograph placed on the tabula man she had never met. He looked ordinary. Simple clothes, calm expression. Nothing about him suggested wealth, power, or anything beyond struggle. "Why him?" Hana asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Her stepmother finally turned, her eyes sharp. "Because he is poor, just like you now, and you will not bring shame to this family by refusing." The words stung, but Hana stayed silent. Ever since her father died, her life had changed completely. The warmth of the house disappeared. The kindness she once knew turned into control, orders, and humiliation. Her stepsister sat nearby, scrolling on her phone, pretending not to listen, but the smirk on her lips said enough. "You should be grateful," her stepsister added lazily. "At least someone agreed to take you." Hana lowered her gaze. Grateful. That word no longer meant anything in this house. The next morning came too fast. A black car arrived outside the gata, not fancy, not flashy, just plain enough to match the description she had been given. The driver stepped out silently, opened the door, and waited. Hana walked out carrying a small bag. No wedding dress, no celebration, just a simple white outfit her stepmother had thrown at her the night before. Before she left, her stepmother leaned closer. "Don't embarrass us. Stay quiet. Live quietly. That's all you are good for now." Hana didn't respond. She stepped into the car. The ride was long, silent. The driver didn't speak, neither did she. The city slowly faded behind them, replaced by empty roads and distant mountains. Hours passed until they finally stopped in front of a large, isolated estate surrounded by tall gates. This was not poor. Hana frowned slightly as the gates opened automatically. The car drove inside. The mansion ahead was massive modern architecture, dark glass, guards standing at distances that didn't feel random. Everything was too organized, too controlled. Wrong address? Enna whispered to herself. The driver finally spoke for the first time. "We have arrived." She stepped out slowly, her heart uneasy now. The front door opened before she could even reach it. And there he was, the man from the photograph. But the version standing in front of her was nothing like what she had been shown. He was tall, calm. His presence alone made the air feel heavier, sharper. His black suit wasn't cheap, it was tailored perfectly, like it was made for someone who never needed to ask permission for anything in life. His eyes met hers. Dark, measured, unreadable. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then he stepped forward slightly. "You came." It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Hana hesitated. "Are you the one I'm supposed to marry?" A faint pause. "Yes." Just that one word, but it carried something she couldn't understand. Not softness. Not warmth, something deeper, controlled, dangerous. Before she could ask anything else, footsteps echoed behind him. Several men in suits appeared at a distance, standing perfectly still, watching, waiting. Hana instinctively took a small step back. The man noticed. His gaze shifted slightly toward her movement. Then he said something unexpected. "You don't need to be afraid here." Hana almost laughed, but nothing came out. Afraid? She didn't even know what she had walked into. Inside the mansion, everything was silent, too silent. No servants rushing around, no casual noise of normal life, just controlled stillness. He led her inside without touching her, without rushing her. "You will stay here from today," he said as they walked through a long hallway lined with dark paintings and glass walls. Hana finally gathered courage. "Why me?" He stopped walking. The silence stretched for a second too long. Then he replied, "Because you were chosen." That answer made no sense. Chosen by whom? Before she could ask again, a man approached from the side and bowed slightly to him. "Everything is prepared, boss." Hana froze. "Boss?" Her eyes slowly shifted toward the man standing beside her. The same man who was supposed to be poor. The same man her stepmother had discarded like something worthless. But the way everyone bowed, the way they spoke, the way the entire house reacted to his presence, it didn't fit. Not at all. He turned slightly toward her again, noticing the confusion building in her eyes. For the first time something subtle changed in his expression, not emotion exactly, but awareness. Like he had realized she didn't know anything, and that realization seemed dangerous. The word boss echoed in Hana's mind like it didn't belong in reality. She stood frozen in the marble hallway, her eyes locked on the man beside her. The same man who, just hours ago, had been labeled as poor, simple, someone beneath her. But nothing about this place felt poor. Nothing about him did either. He turned slightly, noticing the way her breath had changed shorter now, uneven. "You heard that," he said calmly. "It wasn't a question." Hana swallowed. "They called you boss." A faint pause passed between them. Then he replied, "Yes, just that again. Simple, controlled." Like the truth didn't need decoration. From the side corridor, another group of men passed. They stopped instantly when they saw him. Heads bowed, no words, no hesitation. Hana's fingers tightened around her bag strap. Her voice lowered. "What kind of boss?" For the first time, something subtle shifted in his expression. Not surprising, not panic, recognition, like he was deciding how much truth she could survive before he could answer. A door opened at the end of the hall. An older man stepped out holding a tablet, speaking quickly in Korean. The moment he saw Hana, he stopped mid-sentence. The air changed, not loud, not dramatic, but heavy. The older man bowed deeply. "Sir, she has arrived safely. Prepare everything," the boss replied without looking away from Hana. The man nodded and disappeared immediately. Silence returned. Hana finally broke it. "I think there's been a mistake." He tilted his head slightly. "Mistake? I was told you were poor," she said honestly, almost confused now that I was being sent away. Like punishment, taught for a moment, he didn't respond. Then he stepped closer, not enough to intimidate, but enough that she had to lift her gaze fully to meet his. "You are not sent here as punishment," he said quietly. "You were brought here for protection." Hana blinked. "Protection from what?" A faint shadow crossed his eyes. From somewhere deeper in the mansion, a distant alarm-like signal pulsed once, then stopped. His attention shifted for a split second toward it, and that was enough for Hana to notice something she hadn't before. People here weren't just respectful. They were alert, always alert. He looked back at her. "From the people who think you belong to them." Her stomach tightened. "My stepmother." A pause. Then carefully. "She is only part of it." That answer made her heart drop. Before she could ask anything else, footsteps returned faster this time. A younger man in a black suit leaned in and spoke urgently in Korean. This time Hana caught one word clearly. Threat. The boss's face didn't change much, but the entire atmosphere did. He turned slightly toward Hana. "Stay inside this room," he said firmly. "I don't understand what's happening," Hana replied, frustration rising now. He looked at her for a long second, then, unexpectedly softer. "You will," and just like that, he stepped away. Hana was left standing alone in the hallway as guards moved instantly into position, doors locking somewhere deeper in the mansion. Her heart began to race. She turned slightly, watching him walk away with calm authority, like the world bending around him without resistance. That was when she realized something even more unsettling. No one here was acting like he was just a man. They were acting like he was the interior of something far larger. And she had just been placed directly inside it. Far away, outside the mansion gates, a black vehicle slowed to a stop. Inside it, her stepmother was speaking on the phone in a low voice. "She's inside now," she said. A pause. Then she added, "Yes, exactly as planned." The rain outside grew heavier. Hana stood inside the locked room, staring at the heavy wooden door as the final click of the lock echoed through it. Locked in, not like a prisoner, but not like a guest either. The room itself was strange, too elegant for something meant to confine someone. Soft lighting, a wide window overlooking the estate gardens, a glass of water already placed on the table like someone had prepared for her arrival long before she came. Her thoughts refused to slow down. Protection? From who? That single phrase repeated in her mind again and again. Outside, footsteps moved quickly through the hallway. Voices came and went, but she couldn't understand them. Only one thing was clear: the mansion had shifted into something tense, alert, ready. Hana moved closer to the window. Down below, black-suited men were moving in coordinated patterns across the courtyard. Not random, not casual, like they had done this many times before. Her chest tightened. This wasn't a home. This was something else entirely. Suddenly, a soft knock came at the door. Hana flinched. "Who is it?" A pause. Then a calm voice. "It's me." Her breath stopped. She recognized it instantly. "The boss." She hesitated before speaking. "It's locked." "I know," he replied. Another pause followed, heavier this time. Then the lock clicked again. The door opened slowly. He stepped inside alone. No guards. No entourage. Just him. Hana instinctively stepped back. "What's going on outside?" He closed the door behind him without rushing, his expression still controlled but sharper now. Focused. "There is a situation," he said simply. "That doesn't explain anything," Hana replied, frustration breaking through her fear. "I was told I was being protected." "From what? From who?" His eyes held hers for a long moment. Then he said, "From the same people who sent you here." Her breath caught. "My stepmother?" He didn't confirm immediately. Instead, he walked slowly toward the window and looked outside, as if measuring distance, movement, threats only he could see. Finally, he spoke. "Your stepmother." Did not act alone. Hana felt her stomach drop. "What are you saying?" He turned slightly toward her. "You were not sold into marriage out of cruelty alone. You were placed into a system." Her voice lowered. "System." Before he could answer fully, a sudden sharp knock came from the door. Urgent, repeated. A voice outside shouted something in Korean. Fast, panicked. The boss's expression changed instantly. For the first time, Hana saw it not calm control, but calculation. He moved toward the door, opening it just enough to speak with the guard outside. The exchange was quick, tense, then silence. He closed the door again. Hana stepped forward. What happened? He looked at her directly now. "They've moved earlier than expected." "Who are they?" she asked again, louder this time. "Why am I involved in this?" He paused, and then carefully, as if choosing every word. "Because someone wants access to you." Hana froze. "Access?" His gaze darkened slightly. "Your father left something behind, something they have been searching for." The room felt smaller suddenly. Hana shook her head. "My father was he was just a businessman. We didn't have anything like that." A faint silence. "Tea." He said, "That is what you were told." Before she could respond, the lights in the hallway outside flickered once. Then again. A distant sound of movement echoed through the mansion, faster now. No longer controlled. Hana turned toward the door instinctively. The boss didn't move. Instead, he said quietly, "Stay behind me." Her heart pounded. "What's happening right now?" He looked at her one last time before turning toward the door, and for the first time, his voice softened but only slightly. "Now you are about to see why you were brought here." The mansion didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like a fortress holding its breath. Hana stood just behind him, her hands trembling slightly as the distant sounds outside grew sharper. Footsteps, shouted commands. The sudden slam of doors somewhere deep in the estate. The boss didn't move yet. He was listening, not just hearing, calculating. Then quietly he spoke without turning back. "Don't leave this room." Hana's voice shook. "You keep saying that, but no one is explaining anything." For a second he said nothing. Then he turned slightly, enough for her to see his expression clearly controlled, but no longer distant. "You want truth," he said. "Stay alive long enough to understand it." That answer made her heart drop. Before she could respond, the lights in the hallway went out completely. Not flickering this time. Total darkness. Then red emergency lights activated across the corridor, painting the walls in warning shadows. A loud alarm echoed through the estate. Hana stepped back instinctively. "What is that?" she whispered. His eyes shifted toward the door. "There, inside the perimeter." A cold silence followed those words. Then everything moved at once. The door burst open, but not violently. Controlled entry. Professional. 3 men in black tactical suits entered silently, weapons lowered but ready. Hana froze. The boss didn't. He stepped slightly forward, placing himself between her and them. One of the intruders spoke in Korean. The boss replied instantly, calm, sharp, final. The tension in the room changed immediately. Hana couldn't understand the language, but she understood the meaning in their posture. This wasn't confusion. This was recognition, like they had just confirmed who he was. One of the men looked directly at Hana. That alone made something inside her twist. The boss noticed. And his voice dropped lower, colder than before. "Do not look at her." The entire room shifted. The men hesitated. Then one of them smirked faintly and said something that made the boss go completely still. Not angry, not surprised. Still, Hana felt it instantly. Something had changed. Danger had just gotten closer. The boss raised his hands slightly, not a threat, not yet, but a signal. And from somewhere deep in the mansion, a synchronized response echoed back. Footsteps. Dozens. Approaching fast. Hana's breath caught. What's happening? He didn't take his eyes off the intruders. They made the first mistake, he said quietly. The intruders tensed. Then everything exploded into motion. The lights flashed. The corridor outside filled instantly with movement, shouts in multiple directions, doors opening and closing in rapid sequence. But inside the room, it was controlled chaos. The boss moved first, fast, precise, blocking an incoming strike before it even reached Hana's space. She stumbled back, heart pounding, watching things she had never imagined happening in real life. The intruders were skilled, but they were not unprepared. Neither was he. Within seconds, the room stabilized again. But not peacefully. The intruders were restrained, forced down, controlled without unnecessary violence. Silence returned just as quickly as it had been broken. Hana stood frozen, breath uneven, staring at everything like her mind couldn't process it fast enough. Her voice came out barely audible. You knew this would happen. The boss straightened slowly, adjusting his sleeve as if nothing had happened. I knew it was possible, he corrected. Hana's eyes widened. Why didn't you tell me? He finally looked at her fully, and this time there was something different in his expression. Not distance, responsibility. Because if you knew earlier, he said, you would have been their target immediately. Hana's throat tightened. Outside footsteps rushed again, but now organized, controlled, loyal to him. The situation was shifting back under his control. But then a phone rang. One of his men handed it to him quickly. He answered. Silence. Then his expression changed just slightly. Not fear. Recognition. He handed the phone back without a word. Hana stepped forward carefully. What is it now? He looked at her for a long moment, then said, Your stepmother is not waiting anymore. A pause. She's coming here herself. For a moment, Hana didn't understand what he meant. Her stepmother, coming here? To this place? The mansion was still alive with controlled chaos guards moving through corridors, radios murmuring in Korean, doors opening and locking with precision. Yet inside this room, time felt slower, heavier. Hana's voice came out thin. Why would she come here? She hates me. The boss's gaze stayed steady on her. That is not hate, he said quietly. That is intent. Before Hana could ask what that meant, a new sound echoed through the estate. Not alarms this time. Engines. Multiple vehicles. Approaching fast. From the window, she saw them black cars passing through the outer gates without hesitation, as if they were expected. But they weren't stopping at the perimeter. They were being allowed in. Hana stepped closer to the glass. They're letting her in. The boss didn't look surprised. That alone frightened her more than anything else. He finally spoke. She didn't force her way here. A pause. She was invited. Hana turned sharply. Invited? By who? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked toward the door and opened it. Two of his men were waiting outside. A short exchange followed in rapid Korean. Then silence. The boss closed the door again. His expression darkened slightly, not with anger, but realization. They confirmed it, he said. Hana's heart pounded. Confirmed what? He turned to her fully now. That your stepmother has been working with them from the beginning. The words didn't land at first. Then they did. Hana shook her head slowly. No, she hates me. She would never. People do not need affection to use someone, he interrupted calmly. A long silence filled the room. Outside, footsteps echoed again, but now slower, deliberate, approaching the main hall. Hana felt her body go cold. So what am I? A weapon? A bargaining piece? The boss studied her for a moment, then said, You are a key. That word made her stomach twist. Before she could respond, a soft knock came at the door. Once, then again. A voice outside, female, familiar, cold. Hana, her stepmother called gently. Open the door. Hana froze completely. The boss stepped slightly in front of her again, his presence immediate, protective, unshaken. But Hana couldn't move her eyes away from the do. Or, it was her voice. The same voice that had controlled her life for years. The knock came again, softer this time. I know you're in there. The pause. Then I've come to take you back. Hana's breath shook. Take me back? The boss's voice dropped low. Don't answer her. But Hana didn't respond. Her mind was spinning too fast. Why was she here? Why was she working with them? And what did she want with Hana so badly that she walked straight into this place. The knocking stopped. Silence stretched. Then her stepmother spoke again, closer now, almost smiling through the door. You were never supposed to survive long enough to meet him. The words hit Hana like ice water. You were never supposed to survive long enough to meet him. For a moment, there was nothing in her mind except that sentence repeating itself, breaking apart, refusing to make sense. Behind her, the boss didn't move, but the atmosphere in the room changed instantly. The air felt tighter, sharper, like something invisible had snapped into place. Hana's voice trembled. What does she mean? I was never supposed to survive. No answer came from the door, only silence. Then her stepmother laughed. Softly. Not loud, not emotional, controlled. That's enough talking through doors, she said calmly. Open it. We can end this properly. The boss's voice was immediate, low and final. No one opens that door, but Hana's eyes stayed fixed on it. Because for the first time, she wasn't just afraid. She was confused in a way that hurt. Slowly, she whispered, I need to hear it from her. The boss turned sharply toward her. You don't understand what you're asking. Hana's eyes were glossy now, but steady. Then explain it. A pause. Outside, footsteps stopped right in front of the door. Her stepmother was close enough that Hana could almost imagine her standing there, perfect posture, calm expression, like nothing in the world was wrong. Then she spoke again. You think you were brought here by accident. A soft knock followed. One simple signature, she continued. One arranged marriage. That's what you were told, right? Hana's fingers tightened. The boss stepped slightly forward, but Hana raised a hand without realizing it, stopping him. She needed this, even if it hurt. Her stepmother continued, voice almost gentle now. Your father didn't just leave money behind, Hana. A pause. He left something they've been killing for. Hana's throat went dry. That's impossible. Inside the room, the boss's expression shifted slightly, just enough for Hana to notice. Recognition. Not surprising. Confirmation. Her stepmother's voice lowered. And you were the only way to find it. Hana's breath shook. Me? A soft laugh again. Yes, because your father trusted you more than anyone else. Silence swallowed the hallway. Then the boss finally spoke, not to the door, but to Hana. Stop listening to her. But Hana couldn't. Her heart was racing now, pieces falling into place in ways she didn't want to understand. The stepmother continued, slower now. You think I raised you out of kindness? I tolerated you because you were useful. A beat. And when your usefulness ended, I was going to dispose of you. Hana's knees felt weak. The room tilted slightly. The boss stepped closer instantly, steadying her without touching too much, just close enough that she wouldn't fall. Outside, the tone of the stepmother's voice changed, less patient now. Open the door. I didn't come alone. That sentence changed everything. The boss's gaze sharpened instantly. He lifted his hands, slightly silent command. From somewhere deep in the mansion, multiple responses activated at once. Hana looked up at him. What does she mean? She didn't come alone. He didn't answer immediately, because now even he was listening differently. The silence outside stretched again. Then a second voice spoke. Male, unknown, cold. This ends now. Hana's breath stopped. The boss's expression turned completely still. And for the first time since she arrived, he looked like the situation was no longer just under his control. The moment that second voice spoke, the entire mansion seemed to freeze. This ends now. Hana felt it in her chest first, like the air itself had been pulled out of the room. The boss didn't move, but something in his eyes shifted. Not fear, recognition. Outside the door, her stepmother's calm presence was gone, replaced by something sharper, something satisfied. Then came the sound. A slow, deliberate clap. Once, twice. You still protect her like that, the male voice said from the hallway, amused. Even after everything. Hana's throat tightened. Who is that? The boss finally spoke, but not to her. To me. Lack all internal roots. Immediately, Hana heard movement outside, rapid footsteps, doors sealing, mechanical clicks echoing through the mansion like a chain reaction. The situation had escalated beyond her understanding. Then the door handle turned, not forced, not broken, opened. Her stepmother stepped inside first, calm, perfect posture, expensive coat, the same expression she always wore when Hana was a child and did something wrong. Behind her stood a man in a dark suit, but he wasn't one of the boss's men. Hana felt it instantly. He smiled slightly as his eyes landed on her. So this is her, he said. The boss stepped forward at once, placing himself between Hana and them completely. His voice dropped dangerously low. "You shouldn't be here." The man tilted his head. "And yet, here I am." Hana's stepmother walked further into the room as if she owned it. Her eyes never left Hana. "You look exactly like your father," she said softly. Hana's voice cracked. "What is happening? Why are you here with them?" Her stepmother sighed, almost disappointed. "Because, Hana, I needed access to what your father hid." The boss's gaze sharpened. "You used her as bait." The man behind her smiled wider. "Not bait, a pause. A key, as you already guessed." Hana took a step back. "Stop talking like I'm not here." For the first time, her stepmother looked at her directly, and there was something different in her eyes now. Not hatred, not anger, impatience. "You were never supposed to meet him," she said again, calmer this time. "But you did." She glanced at the boss. "And that complicates things." The boss didn't move, but the entire room felt like it belonged to him again. "You crossed into my territory," he said quietly. The man chuckled. "Territory changes when power shifts." A heavy silence followed. Then the stepmother spoke again, her tone sharper now. "Enough." She took one step forward. "Give us what we came for." Hana's voice shook. "I don't even know what you want." The stepmother finally smiled. "That's because your father never told you the full truth." The boss suddenly turned his head slightly toward Hana, not fully, but enough for her to notice. A warning. But it was too late. The stepmother raised her hand slightly. And in that instant, multiple screens inside the room flickered on, automatically hidden panels activating across the mansion system. Fill. Ease. Codes. Old records. Hana's name appeared on them. Her father's name, and a sealed file labeled only. Project Origin. Hana's breath stopped. "What is that?" she whispered. The man behind her stepmother stepped forward slowly. "That," he said, "is why every powerful group in this region has been hunting your family for years." The boss finally spoke again, but this time, colder than before. "And now you brought them here." The stepmother looked at Hana one last time. "No," she said softly. "I brought you here so they could finally open it." The room went silent, and then somewhere deep inside the mansion system, a final lock clicked open on its own. The moment that final lock clicked, the entire mansion seemed to inhale. A deep mechanical hum spread through the walls. Then the screens around the room shifted, static dissolving into something far more precise. Coordinates, documents, names, years of hidden transactions, secret alliances, blood signatures. Hana stared at it, her mind refusing to keep up. This is all mine," she whispered. Her stepmother's calm expression finally cracked just slightly. "Not yours," she corrected. "Your father's legacy." The man in the dark suit stepped closer, eyes fixed on the glowing data. "And the key to unlocking every system in the region." The boss's voice cut through the tension immediately. "Step away from her." But Hana didn't move. Something inside her had already shifted. All her life, she had been treated like she was worthless, controlled, handed away like an object. And now suddenly, everything revolved around her existence. She looked at the screen again, then at her stepmother. Her voice came out quieter this time. "You never planned to raise me, did you?" A brief silence, then her stepmother answered honestly, "No." The word landed harder than anything before it. "I planned to use you," she continued calmly. "But your father hid you too well. Until now." Hana's hands trembled. The boss stepped slightly closer to her, not touching, just present, grounding. "You don't need to listen to them anymore," he said quietly. But the man in the suit smiled. "Actually, she does." He pressed something on his device. Instantly, the screen zoomed into one final file, a single recorded message. Hana's father appeared. Her breath stopped completely. His voice filled the room. "If you are seeing this, then it means they have found you." Hana's knees weakened. The boss shifted slightly behind her, steadying the space around her without touching. Her father continued in the recording. "Everything I built, I hid it inside a system that only my daughter can unlock. Not by force, not by control, but by choice." Hana's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't want you in this world," the recording said softly. "But I couldn't stop it either." Silence swallowed the room. Then the final line. "If you still have your kindness, then decide who deserves what comes next." The recording ended. The screens went dark. For a moment nobody moved. Then Hana slowly lifted her head, and for the first time since all of this began, she didn't look confused. She looked aware. The man in the suit stepped forward. So, Hana, what will you choose? Her stepmother watched carefully. The boss stayed behind her, silent but ready. Hana exhaled shakily. Then she spoke. I choose. She paused, voice steadying. My own life. A long silence followed. Then something unexpected happened. The systems around them began shutting down one by one, rejecting external control, locking access, severing connections. The man's smile faded instantly. What did you do? Hana looked at the screen, then at her hands. I didn't do anything, she whispered. She turned slightly toward the boss. He met her eyes, and for the first time, there was something like approval in his expression. No, he said quietly. You finally activated it. Alarms began sounding outside, not danger this time, but failure. The stepmother stepped back slowly, realization dawning. You were the true access point. Tonna looked at her without fear now, and said nothing. Security forces moved in from all directions, but not for Hana. For the intruders, the system had shifted. Control had changed hands. The man in the suit took a step back, anger replacing confidence for the first time. This isn't over. The boss turned slightly toward him. It is, he said simply. And just like that, it was. Minutes later, silence returned to the mansion. The intruders were gone. The systems secured. The threat dissolved. Only Hana remained standing in the center of it all, breathing unevenly, trying to understand what she had become part of. Her stepmother looked at her one last time. Not Anne, Jai anymore. Just empty. Then she turned and left without another word. The room slowly cleared, until only Hana and the boss remained. The lights softened again. The mansion felt like a mansion again. Not a battlefield, not a secret war, just quiet. Hana finally spoke. So, what happens to me now? The boss looked at her for a long moment, then replied, Calm as always, that depends. She frowned slightly. On what? His gaze softened just a little. On whether you still want a life that was chosen for you. A pause, or one you choose yourself. And for the first time since the rain had begun that night, Hana felt like the door in front of her wasn't a trap, it was open.